Hello, Patriots. I'm Lee Watts, and this is Patriot Point, your source for Kentucky news and analysis from a conservative, Christian, and common sense point of view. Well, I hope everyone had a happy New Year's celebration. This first episode of Patriot Point this year is brought to you by the letter J, as in January, and the number 20, as in January the 20th, the day we make America great again. Well, with the start of the new year, we have the people who were elected in November now taking office in January. It's going to kind of change up the Kentucky political landscape. So let's look at a tale of the tape to see who has the advantage in the different branches of government. We see over on the left is the Democrats, and on the right is the Republicans. In the Kentucky House of Representatives, we have 100 representatives. 20 of them are Democrats, and a whopping 80% of them are Republicans, giving the Republicans in the House of Representatives a super-duper majority advantage, Republicans. Let's look in the Kentucky State Senate. In the Kentucky State Senate, there are 38 seats. Only 7 of those are held by Democrats, while a whopping 31 out of 38 seats in the Kentucky Senate are held by Republicans, giving the Republicans in the Senate the advantage and a super-duper-looper majority in the Kentucky State Senate. When we go over to the Kentucky State Supreme Court, it was leaning left, but based on the recent elections, the court is solidly a liberal leftist court. So anything that is brought before the court, we can expect them to rule on the liberal side of that. When we look over on the final branch, the executive branch of government being the governor's position, of course, that is held by Andy Beshear, who is a radical leftist. Though he tries to tell people he's a moderate, his actual actions show he is a hardcore leftist. So the legislature firmly in the grip of the Republicans, however, the court and the executive branch in the balance of the Democrats. So now that we know how the power is distributed, let's see how it's going to play out during the legislative session. The 2025 session is going to be very fast and furious, and here's the reason why. Under the Kentucky Constitution, it says in years like 2025 that are odd-numbered years, the legislature only has 30 working days to make laws. Now, the way they're going to start, they will start on January the 7th. And that's a Tuesday, and they'll go Tuesday through Friday. During that time, all the newly elected people will be officially sworn in. Everyone will be officially assigned to a committee and offices, and a lot of administrative things happen, but not much else. And then they stop after January the 10th, and the legislature goes into official recess for the entire rest of the month, which time they're doing a lot of planning on what laws they're going to propose, and they have to do a lot of mandatory classes, like on ethics and things like that. Personally, I think the ethics class ought to be almost weekly, but they do it once a year. But then starting on February the 4th, the legislature will come back into session and start sending bills to committee and passing laws. Now, here's the amazing thing and why it's going to be so fast and furious. The legislature only has from February the 4th to February the 19th to make new laws. After February the 19th, no new bills can be introduced for this entire year. No new bills can be proposed to become laws. And if you don't count weekends and holidays, then between February the 4th and 19th is actually only 10 working days, because they don't work weekends, they don't work holidays, and much like Garfield, they don't work on Mondays either. So after they propose all the new ones, it'll go through committees and debates, and they will finish voting on new laws by March the 14th. At that time, the legislature again will take a 10 working day pause. The law requires that during those 10 working days, all the laws that have been passed go to the governor, and the governor will have 10 days, not counting Sundays, to either sign or veto. Now, where do you think the Founding Fathers got the idea to put in the Kentucky Constitution that you shouldn't have to work on a Sunday? Of course, that's a biblical principle. It says 6 days you do your work, and then the 7th is a day of rest. So according to the Kentucky Constitution, the governor gets 10 days. Sundays don't count as a work day. After those 10 days, veto days, then the legislature will go back in for March the 27th through 28th, and they will have the option to override the vetoes of the governor. With the governor being the opposite party of the legislature, it is highly likely they will override every single veto that he issues, making them really pointless. And then after March the 28th, the end of the veto override days, that's it for the entire year. Unless there's an emergency special session, no new laws can be even proposed, let alone voted on. So it'll be a very fast and a very furious legislative session. Make sure you tune in each week to Patriot Point. We're going to be telling you about the things that are going on at the Capitol that you're probably not going to hear from the other news sources. Not only will it tell you what's going on, more importantly, we're telling you each week what you can do about it. Who's writing a bill, who's for it, who's against it, and how you can actually make an impact. Because like I say every week, Patriots, liberty is not a spectator sport.